Illinois is gearing up to move into the next phase of its reopening plan. This Friday, the governor plans to loosen more restrictions that have been in place since the coronavirus shutdown, all with hopes of getting the economy and society closer to normal. Let's bring in Eyewitness News' Mark Maxwell with our Illinois State House newsroom. Mark, thanks so much for joining us today. Phase 4 expands the number of people who can gather from 10 to 50, but there are still guidelines in place for social distancing and PPE. Explain that to us.
Yeah, Shelley, it's exciting news for many eager, anxious Illinoisans who've been wanting to get out and about for some time. This is the most relaxed we've seen the coronavirus restrictions in Illinois since about St. Patrick's Day. If you'll remember, that's back when they were ratcheting down from groups of about 250 down to 50, and then we saw them go even lower to meeting in groups of 10 or fewer than that. Now they're going back up safely, cautiously to that. There's a general rule of thumb here. There are some variables and some changes, but by and large, most indoor places, gyms, restaurants, will have a capacity limit of 50 people indoors, unless their normal capacity, say a place would normally seat a limit of 70 people, they have to lower that to 50% of whatever their typical capacity would be. So you don't have a large, overly crowded, small room or small space. The idea is to still keep that social distancing. They'll have to be spaced out. That's the general rule of thumb. And keep in mind, Phase 4 is the second to last in Illinois. Governor Pritzker's plan says we don't reach Phase 5, a complete return to normal, until a vaccine or a treatment for the coronavirus are here.
And I think you just mentioned that restaurants are within that capacity of 50%, correct? How will that work? What restrictions are in place for restaurants now?
Right. Restaurants had been doing curbside pickup, delivery, and some outdoor seating. Now they can bring customers safely indoors so long as tables themselves are at least 6 feet apart. Groups of up to 10 can meet at one table, but even there they're asking people not to get up and mingle and mix around. Of course, the servers and the cooks and the staff will all be donning face masks and taking their precautions as well as they can. So they're going to ease into this, but right now, again, that's the idea, is 50%, and the standing room areas are supposed to be limited to 25% capacity in those areas as well. So they're just slowly releasing these restrictions.
And, you know, Illinois has seen a drop in its COVID infections and hospitalizations. Is there any concern that what we're doing now, this Phase 4, might reverse that trend?
Well, certainly the Illinois Department of Public Health will be watching that very closely. That is the main concern. We've seen other states like Florida, Arizona, where they've relaxed restrictions all along and the virus has spread, and you've seen that upward spike. Illinois is on the other end of that table right now. In fact, the last 2 or 3 weeks, top in the nation in reducing the number of hospitalizations and new infections and the positivity rate itself. So that's the good news. The other thing here is that in the last 3 or 4 months, the state has ramped up its ability to test, to contact trace. So if there is an outbreak, if there are people who start to come down with it, the state is much better prepared now to identify those people, follow them, figure out where they've been, and hopefully contain the virus from spreading at an exponential rate.
All right, great. Mark Maxwell, good information about Phase 4 beginning this Friday in Illinois. Thanks so much for joining us, Mark, from our Illinois State House newsroom.